Hey everybody, welcome back to Social Studies in Isolation. You can see our setting is different. We've moved to the basement. Our budget is still zero, which means we have poor lighting, but we have a little more space down here. Behind me, I have my equivalency of a whiteboard. I do not have a whiteboard. So today we're going to talk about the Great Depression. So I had some people ask me, are we headed towards a Great Depression? They watched the stock market video. We talked about kind of what's happening with the stock market during this coronavirus situation, and they were concerned. Are we headed towards a Great Depression? Let's talk about that. Well, before we can say, are we going towards the Great Depression today, we need to talk about what it was the first time around. So for those of you that don't know, the Great Depression took place around the entire world in the 1930s. Now, there's a whole lot of information on the Great Depression, but we want to focus on kind of what were the causes, what were the things that led up to it, and hopefully we can compare that to today to decide whether or not we're headed towards a Great Depression. So let's start off here. So cause number one, the stock market crash. Now this is what got people asking, are we headed towards one today? Because as I said in our stock market video, we're on the way down with a lot of this. So what happened? Well, the big event was first Black Tuesday. So Black Tuesday is in October of 1929 when the stock market basically takes a dive. Now, it's not as dramatic as my picture here, but you get the idea. Stock market had in the 1920s gone up and up and up and up. And so people had speculated. This is speculation from the 1920s. Everything had been good, and so everybody was investing lots of money. They're buying as much stock as they can as the market goes up and up and up. In fact, they were so excited about it, they started buying on margin. Buying on margin is basically saying, okay, I can't afford the stock now, but I will in the future. So I'm going to take out a loan, I'm going to buy it on margin, and then I'll pay it back once the stock goes up. So when the stock market does crash, people have a whole bunch of money invested into it, and it's all going to crash, and they're going to lose their savings. Now, like I said, it wasn't this dramatic, but that's the effect going on here. So that's the first thing, is the stock market crash. We'll pull you in there a little bit closer so you can actually see what my paper says there. Good. So that's not the only thing that takes place here. So number two, we have the bank failure. So ignore the bottom part. The bank failure is the first part here. So what is the bank failure? Well, as people are losing their money in the stock market, they start to panic a little bit. And so they say, I need money. And so where do I go to get my money? I go to the banks. So we have what's known as bank runs. A bank run is when a whole bunch of people run to the bank at the same time and go to the tellers and say, I demand my money. I want my money out of my account. Well, as you know, if you understand banks, they don't just keep your money sitting around in the back room waiting for you to come get it. No, they invest it. So if you lose trust in the bank and demand all your money, they're also going to be losing all these investments. So the money that the bank takes from you, they then lend out to somebody else to buy a house, or they lend out to somebody to buy a car, and it continues on. So because we're losing all this money and all these people are demanding their money at the same time, many of the banks are going to panic and they're going to close. And if your bank closes, then you've lost everything that was in it. So my stock market has crashed, and now my bank has crashed. Next up, we have business failures. So as people are losing money, they're obviously not going to be buying a lot of things. Well, like we said, in the 1920s, everything had gone pretty well. The stock market was up, people's wages were up, everybody was doing awesome. And so what the businesses did is they produced a lot of items, lots of cars, lots of appliances, lots of everything. So they've overproduced. So they have warehouses full of stuff, anticipating that people are going to buy it. Well, because the stock market and the banks are a problem, well, now people have lost money, and this is going to cause us to a business failure cycle. So what this cycle is, we start up here. Businesses don't have the money. Well, when businesses don't have money, what they're going to do is they're going to lay off their workers. Well, if all your workers get laid off, that means your workers have no money. And if your workers have no money, that means they're not buying anything. And if they're not buying anything, that means businesses lose money. The business cycle is a big part of this. So I'll zoom in so you can kind of see that a little better. Ignore my poor penmanship. And so you have plenty of people like this guy up here who's just so sad. He doesn't have a job. He will work for food. Oh, the poor guy. And this is going to continue to happen. Businesses lay off more and more workers, and things get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And we have three causes then: stock market failure, bank failure, business failure. Okay, sorry, had some sound problems, so hopefully you can hear me a little better from here forward. So number four then, sorry, screwed up the four, is going to be a farming failure. So if you can see those, if you kind of zoom in over my shoulder there, you can see the first one here is overproduction. So overproduction, just like the businesses did, is farmers produced a lot of crops, lots of corn, lots of beans, lots of pigs, lots of cows, whatever it was. And as you produce too much, that's going to cause your prices to drop because I have too much of it. And so what the farmers do is they say, all right, well, if I can't make as much for my crops, I'm going to have to grow more of them. And so they start to overwork the ground. So here's my little farmer guy here. He's pushing the plow. I understand there should be a horse or an oxen or something pulling the plow, but I don't know how to draw that. So it's a really strong farmer pushing the plow, tearing up all the prairie and everything else. Well, as you tear up all the prairie and the trees, then you're taking away what's holding the soil in place. So I've overworked it. I have too much production. And so when the largest drought in history comes and hits the Midwest and the Southwest, we're going to have a very dry conditions, and we have all the grass and trees ripped up, which causes our dust bowl. All of the wind picks up and the dirt flies around. Poor farmer Joe. He can't figure out what's wrong. Well, you tilled up too much ground, Farmer Joe. So that's number four. And then finally, number five is a worldwide depression. So the Great Depression was not just the United States, it was the entire world. Other countries are facing it, some more than others. Germany has an extreme depression going on. So when there's depression taking place, all of the countries want people to buy stuff in their country. So they start to put tariffs in place. A tariff is a tax on imports. So if there's a car made over here in Germany coming to the United States, we would charge a tax to stop people from buying from Germany. Well, as the United States puts a tariff in place, so does everybody else. And so we have a complete lack of trade between all these different countries. So those are your five causes: your stock market failure, your business failure, your bank failure, your farming failure, and then a worldwide depression. So those are the five causes that happened during that time. Okay, so there's a lot of other elements that could go into this, but if we just kind of compare that time period versus today, and we ask the question, are we headed towards a Great Depression? I would say no. Now, I'm no economics expert, but I think we're educated enough today that we're not going to let these five things happen. So stock market, is the stock market headed in a poor direction? Yes, we probably look at the stock market and say, yeah, we're not in a good time, but it's a bear market. We've been there before though. Stock market, it goes up, it goes down. And as long as we don't panic too much, we should be okay. The banks, this is the one that I would feel pretty confident is not going to happen again. Remember, the problem in the 30s was everybody runs to the bank and demands their money. Well, first off, people are more educated now and they know that the bank doesn't have all your money. Second off, we created something called the FDIC. The FDIC insures your money. So people know that my money is safe. If the bank closes or burns down, I have insurance up to a certain amount. It was originally 100,000, then it becomes 200,000. So my money is safe. It's insured. So the banks are good. Businesses, this is one that people are concerned about. This is why we see a stimulus package going through Congress, trying to get businesses going. We want to give people money because if people have money, they will spend the money. Then the business has money, then it can hire the workers back. And if they hire the workers, then the people have money. So we basically take that cycle from earlier and we spin it the other way, make it a positive thing. So hopefully the businesses do not fail. Farming. Two things with the farming. Number one, we are more intelligent about how we work the ground. We're not tearing up everything. People use cover crops or they use CRP or they use different things to keep the ground a little bit healthier and safer than it was before. And two, we're not in the middle of the world's worst drought. So we have those things going for us. So a dust bowl is not going to happen. Are farming prices low? Yes. Are farmers struggling? Sure. But we're not going to see the second half of that problem. And then finally, world trade. This is one that people do get concerned about. We talk about these trade wars and we talk about big tariffs on countries such as tariffs with China. and people are concerned, well, that's going to hurt trade, which is going to be another cause. But once again, we hope that people are more educated, that are thinking about the long term, and they'll fix this. So of our 5 things that happened last time, I'm confident that cooler heads will prevail. We will prevent this, and so no, we will not end up in another Great Depression. My 2 cents, my views bringing in historical knowledge. So hopefully this taught you a little bit more about what the Great Depression was in the 1930s, and then also brings us to today and whether it's going to happen. So feel free to check out the other social studies and isolation videos. Feel free to like, feel free to subscribe. I'm told that's what you're supposed to say in these things. Otherwise, have a great day, West Bend Mallard. Hopefully you guys are all doing awesome. And have a great day, anybody else who's watching these videos as well. So see you later.